Alright, 4. Chemical requirement of the boiler start. Start with the new with the repair with the boiler with the quiet with the special water treatment. The procedure with the start with the boiler after the wet and the dry layup with the period with the big quiet with the small one special water treatment. The procedure with the common problem with the doing with the start with the new boiler. The common problem that can occur with the doing with the start with the new boiler with the corrosion of the boiler with the tube with the with the improper initial condition with the water with the boiler. Metal with the carry over the boiler. Wire with the tube with the improper start with the also carry over the start with the new boilers. So for the new boiler for the condensate system prepared for the boilers. As a result of the fabrication for the process for the new with the repair for the boilers erect with the field with the ship with the packaging in the unit likely containing the oil and the greasing films and perhaps on the metal strip of the oil with the grease of the brush contributed to the carryover the contamination of the steam of the irritating the corrosion of the boiler components. Pre-operational alkalinity boil gas for the procedure for the required for the removal of the material the pre-operational property usually made part of the new construction part project thereof the maybe not with the direct corrosion of the boiler operation personnel with the often with the contracting officer being involved with the project can be provide verification of the completion of the important step of the following example the alkalinity and boil out proceed with the consists of the 4 steps inspect with the inside of the boiler remove all the debris add alkalinity boil out chemical formulation of boiled water that should be roughly equivalent to the formulation of the 24 pounds of the caustic soda 24 pounds of disodium phosphate 8 pounds of sodium nitrate and 0.5 pounds of non-ionic wet agent flow foaming detergent per 1,000 gallon with the boiler capacity. Fill the boiler with the steam header with the maintaining of the low fire 1 to 2 days. With the condensate of the system formulation should be circulated in 3 to 4 days. Drain with the complete with the system with the dry, complete with the purging and the drying of the air. Drain and flush produce immediately with the operational treatment level of the layup of the staff of the untreated water mint should not be allowed to remain in the boiler. Problems and recommended solution possible causes. Start up with the boiler from wet layup. The boilers have been properly laid up. The wet will already have been adequately accessed the loss of the sulfite alkalinity and upon adjusting water level, the feeding up of the boiler feed all with the chemical treatment that normally have except for the sulfite with the alkalinity supplement. There's no need to feed with these treatment until the blood and result in reducing their level of the added chemical within the amount of the required with the reach of the normal levels. Start up with the boiler with the dry up, lay up with the boilers, have them prepared, laid up with they can be filled with the feed water with the normal operating boiler, water with the straw with the dosage with the alkalinity supplement with the caustic soda ash with the can be fed along with the standard chemical treatment, the feed rate with the obtain with the normal level of the water treatment, the chemical with the necessary with the achieve with the proper sulfite, alkalinity level of the boiler, water with control corrode with the cycle of the corrosion, cycle of concentration, create with the normal operating level of the sulfate concentration should be at least 20 parts per million. Alkalinity level should be resolved with about 11.0. Alright, 5. Chemical one with the boiler layout. With the boiler layout, the officer required with a special water treatment. The boiler with the boiler out with the strip with more than 4 calendar day with the required with a special water treatment. The prevent the internal corrosion of the boiler layout with the beginning of the be dry or wet veins with the wet layout with the officer provide the best corrosion protection. The boiler can be brought online much more faster than the dry layout with the procedures are required. Operational consideration. Operational considerations are important with the consumer of the term of the proper boiler, share with the term lead or lag with the E with the commonly with the boiler with the D with the varying loads demand with the lead boiler, satisfy the base for the steam load with the lag boiler, means extra steam demand that might be the during the hour, even the more with the when additional peak process for the loads over the required lag status does not apply with a cold boiler that is not required with the due with the few days with such a boiler should be considered layup. The conditions should also be prepared accordingly. Common to many problems with the occurring with the day and layup. Common problem with the occur with the during layup of the oxygen pitting of the tube of the condensate with the pipe. Sometimes at the point of failure, general corrosion of the tube of the condensate with the pipe. The corrosion, protection of the contaminating feed water via the condensation system. 5.3 dry layup of the boiler. The boilers with the manholes may be laid up the one over the two ways depending on the length of the storage of the condition of the boiler room. 1 dry layup, the 1 quick lime silica gel layup. 1 dry layup method. The 1 dry layup the method we recommend the shores for 130 to 150 days of the boiler room with a dry with low humidity with the well be ventilated with the important to keep the boiler dry with the recommended procedure with the consistent 6 basic steps. Take the boiler out through the drain with complete with it still warm while the still warm make the strip of the water walls of the gauge columns are not overlooked. Lock and take out the boiler in accordance with the written procedure. Break up the feed water, the steam connection with the boiler with the blank off with the connection and the other boiler with the plant operating. The boiler must be obtained with the inside walls with all loose scale with the sediment flushing with a high pressure wash with the stiff brush. Clean internal surface that can be reach. Leave the boiler open with the atmosphere such that the humid atmosphere exists. The boiler must be closed in the procedure specified use. Quick lime or silica gel layup method. The procedure recommended the storage of 150 days or less than 150 days with the boiler room atmosphere get quite humid and not well ventilated. The recommended procedure consists of 8 basic steps. Take the boiler out, shift the dirt in, complete with it still warm. Make sure the water with the gauge column does not overlook. Lock and tag over the boiler in accordance with the written procedure of the feed water with the steam connection of the boiler and back off Blank off the connection from the boiler with the plant or operating. The boiler may be open with water contained within the inside of the surface of the wash, or the remove the loose scale of the sediment, flushing through high pressure water. Use the tip brush to clean the internal surface that can be reached. Start a very light fire with the furnace dry until the boiler water contaminated and contact with the surface. Maintain the fire for at least 2 hours until inspection shows now moisture for the internal section of the boiler. Place the quick lime. Hydrated lime and UV unused silica gel in one or more metal with the fiber tray of the boiler. Place the tray with the wooden blocks so they are air can circulate around them. The amount of lime and the silica gel required is about 50 pounds per 0.36 kilograms of steam per second, or 3,000 pounds per hour per boiler capacity. 8. Seal the boiler to prevent the air moistening from entering the boiler. 9. Open and inspect the boiler every 2 months. Replace any moist, quick lime and silica gel and new material. 10. Carefully reseal the immediate with after the inspection after addition of the new chemicals. Alright, wet layup of the boiler. The method means with the boiler with the complete with the full through with the water with the method the with the check with the boiler with the get back can be put back on the strip of the boiler. Cool with the method should not be used with the boiler except with the freezing temperature. Wet layup without draining operational boiler. The method used is most commonly with the boiler with the shutdown 4 to 30 calendar days. Often the boiler maintained with the standby condition with the corrosion will most likely corrosion can occur in the bottom boiler unless the bottom both the water level and the steam drum of the chemical with the boiler are increased to perceive the recommend with the wet layup of the boiler with the drain cleaning. Approximately 4 hours of the boiler shut down with sufficient with the sodium hydroxide with the increase of the hydroxide alkalinity with the 10 to 20% of the higher upper limit to give the pressure of the boiler to be laid off. The insufficient sodium sulfite increase the sulfite residual to 200 parts per million. Extinguish fire to the boiler. Add water complete with the fire. Completely fill the entire boiler with water runs until the vent safety valve air cock. When the boiler is completely cool, add more water to ensure full. Maintain a pressure of 5 to 10 pounds per square inch during layup to maintain level of alkaline and sulfite. Check the boiler frequently to measure, make sure no water has leaked out. Analyze the boiler at least once per month to make sure chemical residuals are being maintained. Alright, 5332, wet layup drain boiler. The procedure recommended for the boilers that have been emptied clean with a repair way layup the drain boiler. Completely remove the scale of the above, remove the connection to other activity feed water steam system. Fill the boiler with water, deaerated water if available. Add enough sodium hydroxide to give the hydroxide level of 200 parts per million. Add sodium sulfite, give the sulfite residual 200 parts per million. Circulate the chemical of the boiler with a carefully boiling for 2 hours. Be sure to fill the boiler to replace any loss during the treatment. Extinguish the fire with the boiler. Add water complete with it to the entire boiler until the water returns to the vent and safety valve of the air cock. When the boiler is completely cool, move the water to ensure the full maintained pressure of the 35 to 69 kilopascal during layup of the maintained level of the alkaline and sulfite. Inspect the boiler on a regular basis, replace any water loss. Facilitate inspection. Small steel tank equipped with gas gauge glass may be installed at the top of the boiler as shown. Fill the tank with treated water to connect neck with steam light. Take off vent and safety valve connection. Glance at the water level of the small drum. If and quickly, then tell whether or not the boiler is completely filled. It says any suitable boiler connection, valve, sight glass, gooseneck, vent, water level, small steel drum, boiler steel drum. Layup condensating system. Layup of the condensating system is much more difficult than layup of the boiler system. Cool with the oxygen withdrawal with the result of the situation that leads to the corrosion. Purging system driving the air gap with the effective with the logistic with the nearly impossible has within cover the potential for the sufficient people of the system located with the unvented area. Application of high dosage filling ammonine prior to shutdown of the care would be effective. It might be restricted for many applications and is prohibited military operation. Application of high dosage neutralizing ammonines, specifically volatile oxygen scavenger can be helpful. The application of the ammonine special volatile oxygen scavenger can be limited to where steam purified and the Federal Drug Administration restricts exists. Alright, 6 is commonly asked question to answer the boiler water treatment system. What is meant by the neutralized conductivity? The boiler wants to often have the hydroxide alkalinity OH a contribution conductivity disproportionate and large compared to other species. Furthermore, hydroxyl contribution toward conductivity of the conjugate TDS-OH, conductivity of the neutralized of the organic acid used because they do not contribute to conductivity. What is the relation between conductivity and TDS? Measurement of electronical conductance of the ionized species of dissolved water. Reported the micro MHOs, micro Siemens per centimeter. TDS is the amount of the mineral in solution per part per million. Boiler water neutralized conductivity 0.7 yields the approximation of the TDS. Tannin is the dispersion factor increased proportionally to the amount of the tannin present. What are the different types of alkalinity to be considered? Alkalinity can exist in bicarbonate, carbonate, or hydroxide neutral. Natural waters containing bicarbonate, carbonate, alkalinity, hydroxyl alkalinity. Required steam boilers of 900 pounds per square inch is either provided with the addition caustic by the breakdown bicarbonate, carbonate, alkalinity of the boiler. Breakdown of bicarbonate, carbonate, alkalinity produces the carbon dioxide which forms bicarbonate acid condensation system. How often should you blow down to be done? There's no absolute rule. Frequency of blowdown, bottom blowdown vary between once per shift to the once twice a week. Rapid frequency during the boiler, feed water quality, type of the chemical treatment program, participating treatment program reacts hardness of the feed water, form sludge that measure must be removed from the bottom blowdown. Solubilizing treatment program to keep the hardness in solution, creating a little waste sludge. Where's the best location for feed sulfite? Sulfite, like an oxygen excavator, should be fed in the storage section of the air to ensure the removal of oxygen before the feed water enters the boiler. What is the difference between makeup water and feed water? Makeup water comes from the source outside of the boiler system. Feed water, combination of makeup water and condensation return. How is once a balanced chemical treatment of the cycle of concentration? Cycle of concentration control through blowdown. Blowdown is often measured with the conductivity of the TDS with a specific control range. Chemical treatment level to control with the chemical feed rate of the boiler and blowdown. It best maintain consistent control of the cycle of concentration followed by proper adjustment of chemical feed rates. If there's a sudden change of the chemical treatment level with any change of the blowdown chemical feed rate, there is likely to be a change in feed water quality, change of condensation rate, and then hardness, excursion, poor deaerator operation. Are boiler water treatment chemicals safe to work with? Yes, provided the direction MSD sheets or followed high hazard due to chemical burns, high caustic substances. Why is it impossible to get all the parameters, alkalinity, TDS, and the control range? It is impossible to long-range control range, proper given boiler operation. First parameter, the cycle of concentration, maximum cycle are listed by some parameter, any one of these by limiting the cycle of concentration. One proper cycle or established chemical treatment feed rate should be adjusted to keep level of the control range. Softeners need to be regenerated more often before. What could be the problem? Problem could be one of many things, usually due to the high demand of the makeup of the water. It could be due to increase the makeup of the water hardness, level of deficiency generation. Deficiency generation could be due to the insufficient brine strength, insufficient brine time, inadequate backwashing, resulting in channeling loss of resin, heavy foul resin due to iron. And that was the completement, and then there's a final exam, and then this was the reading of an introduction to treatment of steam boiler water testing.